Hi, everyone. This is your former reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion, Poot the Bard, Bebe here, and I just wanted to give you a little heads up for this episode. So, I had some business in taking care of some guitar work, doing that on this past recording day for this episode. And normally I'm the one who records the episodes and everything. And I started the recording before I left the house. However, ran into some technical difficulties. So in his gracious way, one half of our newest reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champions, Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom, started a backup recording as the fellas were in there talking about some various news items that were going on. I am not in the episode this week because, like I said, I was off taking care of some guitar related business, doing repairs and stuff like that. So thank you to Tiger Bomb Tom, and thank you to the fellas for taking care of the episode. Also, thank you folks for your patience. This one we are going to be picking up as the fellas are talking about the Tessa Blanchard controversy that's going on, and we're going to be picking up in the middle of the conversation, so just bear with us, and thank you for listening. We appreciate your listening to the P3 podcast. All right, stick around because next week we got Rumble coming up and we're going to have predictions and stuff, so it's going to be a good one. But for now, enjoy. You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast.
Okay, maybe I owe them an apology, but there's nothing that says I need to make a public apology for bullying somebody. There's nothing that says she needs to make a public apology for bullying somebody. If she did it and somebody has proof of it, produce it. Then judge, jury, and executioner from there. But other than that, it's just one person, two people, three people, however many saying, she bullied me. Well, again, what did she really do? Did she criticize your work? Or did she hold your head in the toilet while Randy Orton shit in your bag? And let's not forget, too, I'll be done off my soapbox here in just a moment. And let's not forget, too, that one of the longest reigning SmackDown WWE champions has been accused on multiple occasions of being a bully. Yet, he was the longest reigning WWE champion in SmackDown history and a future Hall of Famer. JBL. So, some things you've done in your past, while they might not be great, they can't mar what you're doing in the present. If she's a shitty person in the past, and there's proof of it, well, she was a shitty person in the past. Shame on her, shouldn't have done it, oh well, let it go. If she's still a shitty person, maybe that's a different story. But I don't think it should tarnish what is, even though, yeah, Impact. I don't think it should tarnish, some sort of history being made because somebody came out and said, wham, 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 boo-hoo, she bullied me.
There are two things. There are 2 points of demarcation here. First and foremost, I don't know that it's bullying in the traditional sense of the word. Wrestling has this thing where
is there a traditional sense of the word though? Like, what is it? It's pretty much anything fair. Where somebody makes somebody else feel sad
or uncomfortable, right? Yes, and that is true. So wrestling has this thing.
Subjective. That's the word I was looking for before. Subjective.
Yes, and objective, both. But wrestling has a long history, as you mentioned with JBL, of guys, doing rubs on one another, and more or less hazing the new people. Okay, that's fine. Well, it's not fine anymore because of the time that we live in, but I digress. This I don't think is that, though. And this I don't think is like your traditional, get out of my way, I'm beating you tonight because I'm the better wrestler or whatever. No, this is not that. Based upon what I read, and again, this is like you mentioned, it's all hearsay, but the general feeling is that she used who she is to hold people back. The fact that she is a Blanchard, that she is a second generation, much like one fucking Charlotte Flair, who uses her own fucking personal agenda and family to get where she's going. I think that Tessa Blanchard is kind of mirrored that, except for Tessa's actually more talented than Charlotte will ever be. But the idea is that Tessa Blanchard is using, hey, you know what? I grew up in this business because I'm a Blanchard, damn it, and using that to get over on, you know, people. Which again, you know, wrestling is all politics. You know, we marvel about the awesome matches and everything, and a lot goes into those. But I mean, at the end of the day, belts, winners, championships, Rumble winners, King of the Rings, Money in the Banks, that's all politics. You know, look at Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista, Ric Flair, Evolution from like 1999 to like 2000 and what year did Batista win? 2012, won the Rumble.
No, that would have been
14.
2014, because that was Punk's very last
Right.
excuse me, very last Royal Rumble, and that was in Pittsburgh, and that was whenever.
You mean the last time he won the Rumble, or the time that him and John Cena won together, and then Batista ended up winning?
No, I'm talking about the last time that Batista won, which was 2014. Hell, even last year, the Triple H Batista retirement match, like Triple H has used his influence on the product time and time again. And like so that's part of the business, I think. So there's certainly something to what you're saying, Ransom. You know, where is the line to like using who you are and what you do to get over? Like, where is the too much? Because you got to play ball, and especially Tessa, because she is unique in that her attraction is that she is so much better than all of the women that she has to wrestle the men. And like she's been doing intergender matches for like the last year. So like very literally she's wrestling in a man's world right now. So, you know, part of it I think is her using that political advantage, and I think that part of this might be a little bit, and God help me, I'm about to agree with Ransom, a little bit of oversensitivity on some of these people who are coming out and saying you've held me back. But the whole like thing with her like spitting on people and using the N-word and that whole shebang, like that's not cool. Like I don't care how, if you have to do that to get over as a heel, then you're a shitty worker. Period.
No, that's not cool. But again, it goes back to, it's one person saying that against another, a few, whoever. Like you've got to show proof, and I'm all for the whole innocent until proven guilty.
It's Japan, though. That's the thing. Like we'll watch New Japan next week, and nobody in the crowd has their phones out. It's a very different atmosphere in that country than it is here. And so if it happened in Japan, and especially if it wasn't like a big televised event, to me, I would be 100% believing that it probably happened, but no one caught it on film because, you know, it's a different climate and a different, you know, culture.
I mean, again, it could have happened, but, you know.
We'll never know.
No, well, unless you see physical proof of it, you know, it's still, these people said this about her and whatever. And as far as, you know, her using her status or, you know, trying to stay on top while pushing other people down, that has been an accusation that has been thrown around wrestling probably since professional wrestling started. I'm sure people have said that about Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk said that about Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say what you will about Triple H. There's been accusations everywhere about it. Well, he married the boss's daughter. You know, he started working in the office. He was in Vince McMahon's ear. Yada 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 yada. But there have been plenty of times where Triple H has lost and Triple H has gotten buried. Look back to the curtain call.
Yep.
Vince McMahon buried Triple H. He was supposed to win King of the Ring that year. Austin won King of the Ring that year because Triple H had to take the punishment. Yes, that's long before Evolution and everything. But at the same token, Triple H did the work for a lot of people.
Well, I will say, though, in that regard, though, to the curtain call, he was literally the only person who could take the punishment because Hall and Nash were on their way out the door, and he wasn't going to you know, bury Shawn because Shawn was the champ at the time. So, I mean, there really was no other
choice.
Yeah, there really was no other choice. But I get what you're saying in the fact that, you know, like, it's not like he's had, like, you know, any sort of, like, undefeated record or anything like that. Like he's gone through the normal ups and downs and everything like that. But I kind of find it funny though that a lot of people have cried, like, oh, so and so buried me and this and that, and a lot of people bitched and moaned about Triple H and his golden shovel, and now those same people probably revere him as one of the greatest minds because look what he's done with NXT. It's amazing what a little bit of time and and some good happenings will do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I think I've always seen Triple H as, and forgive my credo, my leaning on his credo, but best for business. Even on Raw in like the early 2000s, whenever he was with his golden shovel, like there was nothing else going for that show. And like him or hate him, Triple H has a mind for the business.
Yep.
The dude fucking sweats psychology.
Yep.
He could work a match and I love Will Ospreay. And I think that Will Ospreay versus Takahashi at Wrestle Kingdom may be the match of the year. At the end of the year, I might be saying that. But Triple H understood how to get those same reactions without having to take crazy bumps, without having to take stupid Spanish flies on ring aprons, without having to take, these awful-looking things that make you go, oh my god, is he dead? Triple H knows how to work a match to get you emotionally invested. So he's a brilliant mind for the business, as he's shown with NXT, and he always has been. And that's the thing. Like, people always want to go back to him and say, well, he pushed himself during the early 2000s. Well, you know what? Maybe, but I mean, should he have lost to Booker T at WrestleMania? Probably. If Triple H loses to Booker T at WrestleMania 19. I think it was 19. It may have been 18. It was 19. If Triple H loses to Booker T at that WrestleMania, I think that the narrative on him is completely swapped. Swift.
Wow, you went for a combination of swapped and
Swift is a trucking company.
Sure,
Swift.
Sure is.
Swift. Yeah. I think you went for a combination of swapped and switched there when you went swift.
Man, I'm glad you know what I was trying to go for, but I had no fucking idea.
Yeah. Well,
so you say
again,
maybe he should have lost to Booker T at that WrestleMania, but who's to say that wouldn't have backfired? Who's to say that would have been what's best for business? Because Booker T's reign right there could have been like CM Punk's world title reign, where it lasted for a cup of coffee, nobody cared, and it was gone. Booker T, whenever he was doing the King Booker thing as the world champion, that was over the moon. Mm-hmm. He was one of the most hated heels, and he caught people's attention, and he grabbed onto it. Booker T as a face, could he have done that? Maybe.
Nope.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
So you're gambling there. And look at the early 2000s, too. Some of the people that Triple H faced. Could you imagine some of those people as champion? Didn't he face not Brock Lesnar. Didn't he face Goldberg at one point?
Goldberg, Nash.
Maybe he didn't. Nash, Scott Steiner. Dear Lord, do you want Triple H to put the golden shovel away and lose to Scott Steiner? Can you imagine Scott Steiner as the world heavyweight champion in WWE?
Christ, no.
Speaking of super unsuccessful and who cares? So, again, we've kind of gotten off the rails here, moved on to Triple H as opposed to Tessa Blanchard. But again, it's all subjective and I don't know. I say innocent until proven guilty. If she's still a shitty person, that's going to come out somewhere. Someone's going to have video evidence of it if she's still doing it. If she did it in the past, hey, it's in the past. Everybody does something that they're not proud of and that they probably shouldn't have done. People grow up. It happens.
Well, and I'll 100% reiterate my point because we may not have been recording the first time. Thanks, Poot. That I think
we got it now. We're okay. We're okay.
Exactly. That this is probably something. This is probably a calculated strike because it's not that there wasn't any hype going into Impact Hard to Kill. Because again, this was the first time. This is a history maker. She was competing for the men's heavyweight championship. It's a big deal. But I think she knew that sending this tweet out would stir up some controversy. And what does our old pal Eazy-E say?
Controversy creates cash. Hell yes.
She was like I said, she was trending on Twitter for like Thursday or Friday all day. Tessa, hashtag Tessa. Good or bad, man, that got people talking about her, and it probably sold a couple more buy rates to Hard to Kill. So did it work? I don't know. Did it damage her reputation? Maybe. She's either a super big dumbass for bringing this up before the biggest weekend of her life, or she's fucking smarter than anybody else is giving her credit for. And I think she might be on the latter.
Well, like I said,
and if it is, good for her. Good for her to play to that.
Yeah, I mean, like I had said, it's just a matter of like, I just me is my own moral compass. If I did something fucked up, like regardless of if the bullying stuff was true or not, if she did the stuff of like spitting on people in Japan, or using the racial slur and this and that, like own up to it, and correct your actions. That's just kind of how I am. Like, that's me personally. If I do something fucked up, I'll own up to it. I'll fix the mistake and make sure I don't do my best not to make the mistake again. But again, like we said, it all comes down to, it's all hearsay right now. If there's not proof, then move the fuck on, Yeah.
Speaking of move the fuck on.
Move the fuck on. Yeah.
Let's get on to brighter and better topics, because my dudes, it is Rumble season, and like this,
I thought you were going to go for UK there.
Well, and that's part of it, but I mean, like, I know that like it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Roman or Brock is going to win. Okay. Like, and I know that kind of deflates the tires a little bit, but to me, man, like the Rumble gets this like giddy little kid in me so excited. I don't know what it is, man, because there's always surprises and there's always intrigue, and you want to see who's going to be in that final four, because it gives you kind of a snapshot of who they're looking to get over in the next year. So like this is like, to me, the most exciting time to be a wrestling fan between now and probably June.
It's like playoff time.
Exactly, playoff time, because WrestleMania is their Super Bowl, but then even after, you have Money in the Bank, there quickly thereafter, which is still a pretty big show. So, and we have already started down that path of awesomeness with Wrestle Kingdom 2 weeks ago, and now this past weekend we did have the NXT UK. Ransom, answer me this: did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
I am actually currently watching it. I just got done with the tag team ladder match, which was pretty amazing.
To me, the NXT brand can do no wrong. Be it stateside, be it UK. I've heard that they are thinking about opening up NXT Mexico. Go for it, man. Like, give me all of the NXT. I will watch every second of it. I'm guilty of not watching the UK show on the regular, because when I was watching it, I believed that it was probably the best product on TV. But UK takeovers have always been spectacular, and yes, that they have a much smaller sample size to go off of. But I'll say outright 100%. Tyler Bate versus Devlin is up there with match of the year, along with Ospreay versus Takahashi. That was that damn good.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that, because I was like half paying attention to it, because I was like getting set up. I was getting set up here, and I was unpacking my new bookshelf and stuff. So I was like half paying attention. I did catch I did catch like good chunks of it. It from what I saw, it was really good. And same thing with the ladder match here is also really good. The women's match was good too. I thought it was pretty well done. And,
too short, I think. To me, I would like to be about 10 minutes longer, but other than that, I agree.
I would say if at the most maybe 5 minutes longer. Like I don't know. That's just me. I thought it was fine for what it was. I had no problems with it. And the Trent 7 match was a good opener. That's one that I thought would have been a little bit longer, but maybe it's just because like I still don't remember the dude's name. Something Eddie something.
Eddie Dennis. The dragon, Eddie Dennis.
Yeah, that guy. I know nothing. I know nothing about him. I mean, he had a good look. I dug the match. It was fine. That was one I thought that because it was Trent Seven, it might have been a little bit of a longer match, but maybe just because it was Eddie Dennis, maybe not. I don't know, because maybe nobody else knows him like how I don't either. I don't know, but I will say the that fucking razor's edge to the outside barricade.
Fucking crucible. Oh my god.
Oh, that was such a sick bump. I was like, he's dead.
I gasped. I gasped, and Brittany was sitting on the couch, and she was talking to the cat. She said, "Bubba, we just watched a murder." Like, I mean, clearly the guy that was there, like that caught him on the outside, was a plant, whatever. Okay, that's fine, but I mean, still,
the quote unquote cameraman.
Right. That was a fucking sick bump. That was insane. Eddie Dennis, by the way, is big in the UK. That's probably why we don't know him so much. He's kind of a journeyman in the UK, and he is he looks super crisp to me, and I really dug the product. So
yeah,
I'm hope to see more of him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, and seeing what they do with them in the future. Because I mean, so many of these people had NXT UK not come along, would I have ever known who the hell Tyler Bate or Walter or Jordan Devlin was? Probably not. So I'm really glad that they're getting the exposure that they are and stuff like that, and that we have these names. And now once NXT went on USA Network, you see some of that bleeding over. You get Rhea Ripley coming over. You get Tony Storm showed up last week for a little for a match or whatever. You get a bit of Imperium influence over there. You actually have quite a few the UK people in the tag team, the Dusty Tag Team Tournament. You got Gallus, Imperium, what's his name, Flash Morgan Webster, and what's his nuts,
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, thank you, that guy.
And then the Grizzled Young Vets.
Yes, oh my god, Grizzled Young Vets,
fucking great tag team,
amazing,
dude.
Tag
I'm
team.
telling you, I think NXT UK has the best tag division, including AEW, and I think that NXT UK probably has the second best women's division next to NXT. That's so strong over there, and I mean, I can't say enough about Walter either. So I mean, I love NXT UK, and I'm super fucking hyped for Worlds Collide. With Ilya Dragunov versus Finn Balor. That's going to be an incredible match.
Yes.
Tony Storm versus Rhea Ripley. We know what we're going to get. And then the fucking pop-off with Imperium versus the Undisputed Era is going to be insane. It's like, there are only 3 matches announced so far, but I'm already saying that's going to beat Rumble, I think, that weekend.
Now,
for me.
Now, just a quick question on that. With the excuse me, I'm fighting off a little bit of a cough. With the Worlds Collide, is it so far? Is the whole thing gonna be just NXT versus NXT UK, or are we actually still getting more? Okay, I wasn't sure if we were getting more of the other brands in there, like maybe like an NXT versus a Raw or SmackDown thing, or not, like how we did before, how they threw in 205 Live or. Right. Any of that shit.
No.
So it's literally just NXT versus NXT UK overall.
As far as I know, yes. Although you may see Leo Rush defending the Cruiserweight title on there. I'd love to see him versus Mark Andrews.
Wait. Leo Rush isn't the Cruiserweight champ.
Yeah, you're right.
Angel Garza.
Sorry about that.
We just raved about him all of last week. Come on, Beef. Get back in the program.
Sorry about that. But yeah, man, Angel Garza. I would love to see him versus Mark Andrews.
Are you really sorry about that?
Sorry about that.
All right.
Allegedly.
So speaking of things that are terrible, and then things that were awesome, and then back to things that are terrible again. Let's I don't know. I didn't watch Raw last night, so did anything big happen? Besides Seth Rollins' new shirt.
I I caught bits and pieces of it. I was watching more of the national championship, and then I just decided to go to bed because
Who won? Don't say the
fucking
Tigers.
LSU.
Okay.
Fucking LSU, because I fucking hate LSU. I was like, fuck this, and I watched Raw, and I was like, I'm just so disenfranchised with Raw. Ricochet had a decent match. Who'd he face? Mojo? I think he faced Mojo. It was a decent match. Charlotte came on, and I immediately turned the channel.
Yeah.
There's a clip going pretty viral right now of Kevin Owens like running up the stupid WWE skate park ramp.
I did see that.
Titantron.
I did see that actually. That was pretty crazy. What ended up happening with that whole stupid quote unquote fist fight?
Oh, that's what. Yeah. So Murphy and Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black had a pretty good match, and I mean, fucking shocker of all shockers, those two having a good match. They it was very much like a New Japan style match. It was very physical, a lot of elbows, a lot of knees, a lot of striking, and I mean it was great. But then at the end of the show, and I didn't watch it all, but I saw clips that at the end of the show he was out there with Seth Rollins and AOP, and he came in and Big Show was winding up for the WMD or whatever the fuck he wants to call it now, and Murphy gave him the low blow and allowed Seth Rollins to get the victory.
Okay, but here's my question: in the whole grand scheme of it, the match itself, the quote unquote fist fight match. What the fuck does that entail? How was that different from a regular match?
Yeah, I mean that they kept saying all night. The first ever fist fight match in WWE, and I'm like, isn't every match in WWE like a fist fight? Like, or are we? Well, there are no rules, so it's a hardcore match. Like,
or no disqualification.
Yeah, like I said, I was tuned out at that point, so. Bad on us for not doing our homework. But I mean, we can't be blamed because the product is shitty, and it's tough to say to yourself, "Hey, let's waste 3 hours of my time that I could be doing anything else and devote it to watching a show that's just gonna make me angry." So
I devoted my time to playing Detroit Become Human. So
there you go. And that probably better decision. I got pissed off watching the national championship. So, but I think sometimes we come off way too hard on Raw because it feels like there's a lot of dumb stuff going on, and there is. There really, really is. But there are a lot of bright spots too. The War Raiders, the Ricochet, AJ Styles, and the Randy Orton thing. Like that's entertaining. Seth Rollins and AOP is actually doing pretty well. And now they got Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens together. Like, good things are happening. It's just that, you have to dig through a metric fuck ton of Triceratops shit to get to it, so.
Wow. Metric ton of Triceratops shit. I like that. That's good.
A metric fuck ton of Triceratops shit.
My apologies. Speaking of back to things that are actually really good again, I wasn't able to get a hold of Johnny Patch. I talked to him over the weekend, and we had said, "Hey, Tuesday's the day," and I told him, "Okay, hook up with me in the afternoon after you wake back up from whatever." That never happened. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say. If for anybody that's in the southwestern PA area, the Elizabeth Township area specifically, IWC is going to be putting on their Reloaded show this Saturday, bell time at 7, I believe, and with the Reloaded event, it's they hit the reset button, so anybody can show up, wrestlers and non-wrestlers alike. Anything could happen. It's kind of a you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, so we'll see who Mr. Patch ends up defending it against. So best of luck to him in his title defense whoever he faces. And if I get a chance, I will hopefully get out to that show Saturday night with the kiddos, and we'll have some more bright spots in wrestling to talk about, and not whatever the fuck is going on Monday Night Raw. So,
unless of course he's facing Jackson Argos, and then all the luck to Jackson Argos, the real champion. Ransom, you've been super quiet over there. I know we've been talking about things you don't watch like UK and Raw. What's on your mind there, pal?
Yeah, all this NXT UK talk, I was dozing off.
What about regular NXT?
I don't know. I didn't watch this last week.
Okay.
But I did want to comment, and I missed my chance to do it whenever you said it, Beef, about the Rumble. There's being something special about the Rumble. To me, I get giddy about the Rumble like kayfabe is still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Rumble, I don't know what it does, but it makes me believe again that anybody has a shot, that anybody can win. Deep down inside, I know that's not true. You know what I mean? Deep down inside, I know Roderick Strong's not going to win the Royal Rumble. It's probably going to be a disappointment, but there's that little hint of mystique, that little hint of, just maybe we'll see someone we never expected win the Royal Rumble, and that makes it special to me.
And I think that's probably the biggest problem with us IWC folks, is that.
And he means internet wrestling community, not
right.
Not international wrestling cartel.
Precisely. Thank you. I feel like we always have to make that disclaimer, because we do want to separate. IWC good, IWC bad.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
anyway,
one is awesome and one is a fucking hot trash fire. So.
Which we are at the fucking steaming top of the hot trash fire, like sitting here, like throwing matches on it. So guilty. But we tend to armchair book ourselves into a tizzy over the Royal Rumble. I'll tell you what, last year I didn't do that. Last year I made a point of not doing that to myself, of not saying, okay, I'm not expecting Kenny Omega to show up. I'm not expecting, CM Punk to win the Royal Rumble. I just want to have a good show. And it was entertaining. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed I think they were at Minute Maid Park last year. It was the Houston baseball stadium, and they're doing it again this year, which I love. I love that the Royal Rumble is in a baseball stadium, because it's kind of like half the. It's not quite as big as a football stadium, but it's bigger than like the hockey barns. So it's a nice intermediate, and I went in with zero expectations. And I really enjoyed the whole event, start to finish. So I'm trying to do that this year. I'm trying to stay off of social media especially the weekend of, because that's whenever people start posting pictures. Oh, look who showed up to the arena, blah blah blah. I try to avoid that because I do like to be surprised. I have already seen one name that's a pretty big surprise that's probably going to be coming back. That really is exciting to me. So I'm really trying. You want to hear it? You want to be spoiled?
Yes. Fair warning. Stop listening now if you don't want to be spoiled. All four of you who listen.
Precisely. Edge is reportedly making his return.
Yeah, I've
is he
seen
cleared?
Yeah, allegedly.
Now, there's a whole lot of. It's been going around for a little bit, even before, even just before, as of late. Like it's like him coming back in general for a match, but then of course Edge is saying like, no, I'm not coming back. I don't know if he went so far as to say he was not cleared or anything like that. I don't know, but yeah, I have seen that. I have seen that been floating around too.
Triple H did a great job of absorbing and deflecting, because someone asked him about that here, I think recently, and he was like, it's one thing to be medically cleared, it's another thing to be cleared by our doctors. Daniel Bryan was one thing.
Yeah.
I think that really any wrestler who has a marquee name to them has WWE in the same barrel that Daniel Bryan had them in 2 years ago, or the last year. Anyway, where they say, "Hey, I'm gonna go wrestle, whether it's for you or whether it's for the other guy." I'm going to be either on your show or competing against your show. It's your decision. And, if these guys get the itch, Edge is sitting back saying, you know what, I want to come back. He goes to Vince, and if Vince says, no, I don't think we have a place for you. Well, you know what? I'm sure Cody and the Bucks got a place for me.
Yeah, but
right at the top of the card.
There's somebody the caliber of Edge. I don't see how, especially since he's a WWE Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any chance in hell if Edge says, hey, you know what? My doctor says I'm good. I feel good. I think I'm good. WWE doctors check him out. They say, yeah, he's good. I don't think there's any chance in hell. WWE will find something for Edge. They're not going to let a WWE Hall of Famer that still has juice in the tank, not a Hall of Famer that is old and can't do anything anymore and is basically just, come out and cheer on somebody else. Not disparaging Arn Anderson in any way.
I was about to say Arn Anderson.
Nope, I'm not. I'm not disparaging Arn in any way. I'm just saying somebody who's still young enough like Edge, who could still go if his body is medically cleared and he feels that he could do it. They're not going to let him go. They'll find something for him, guaranteed.
The only reason the very first time I heard Edge's name brought up, the only reason I was even skeptical is because back whenever he was forced to retire, I'm sure Ransom, I'm sure you've probably watched this being a pretty big Edge head yourself. His You Think You Know Me DVD. Whenever he was retired and he was talking to that one radio show, they asked him if he missed it and stuff. He's like, no. He's like, I lived my dream and I did that part. He said he never wanted to be one of those guys that just like hung around. So part of me had a hard time believing okay, even if he was cleared, would he want to come back? And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it's not going to happen because obviously, who am I? I don't know Edge. I'm not inside his head, but I know that he and Christian stopped doing their podcast because once Beth Phoenix, took on the commentating stuff on NXT, he basically had to, stay home and be dad, and he didn't have time to do all this and that, all the other faffery with the podcast. So, sorry, my God, makes me wonder, is he going to have time to train and come back? And if he does, it's probably only going to be for a one-off, like the Rumble or maybe a Rumble and a Mania. But don't get me wrong, if he comes back, that's great, and I'll be excited to see him. I'll mark the fuck out. Trust me, I'll be right along there with you guys, marking out. But for those people that are like, oh my God, this is gonna be the greatest thing, and he's gonna come back and this and that, and pump the brakes. It's probably not gonna be a long-term thing. So don't get your panties all soaked just yet. Yeah,
it's I agree with you there. It's not gonna be one of those things where Edge comes back for. It's not going to be a situation that we were in whenever Shawn Michaels came back. Right. He wrestled again for probably longer than he did before he went away. We're not going to get that. But at the same token, if WWE can make a gigantic payday off of a Royal Rumble appearance and a Mania match, they'll do it. They'll offer him, probably whatever he wants and put him in, probably whatever sort of match he wants to be in. Because it'll draw. And even if he makes a 1 or 2 off appearance on an AEW, that would be enough, I think, to make somebody sit up and take notice. So I don't think WWE is going to let that get away. At one point in time, I can't remember if you said it on the podcast or if you said it on or in the chat that we have going. Didn't you say at some point that the booking or the betting, I don't know what it is because I don't do the gambling.
The Rumble odds.
Yeah, didn't you say that there were Rumble odds where Punk was pretty high?
So, and this was, I think, as of last week or 2 weeks ago, so it's still pretty early, because these things, usually the week of, odds flip pretty hard, because I truly believe that Vince has his nose in the Vegas sports books, and he likes to throw people for a loop.
Oh, yeah.
Because, Roddy Piper style, you think you have all the answers, we're going to change the questions on you. as of I think a couple weeks ago, the heavy favorite is, and I think it still is Roman Reigns, like overwhelmingly so. The next best odds were Brock Lesnar, which is not outside the scope of believability, and we can talk about that here in a hot minute, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week with picks for Worlds Collide and Rumble and all that. So we'll probably talk a little bit specific about the Rumble here a little bit, but Lesnar winning from the number one position is not outside the realm of believability. And then the person with the third highest odds to win the Royal Rumble was CM Punk, and that was the point that I was about to make, is that I'm all for an Edge return. I love Edge, and he is definitely one of my favorite guys to see in the ring. He's another guy that just oozes personality and gets fucking ring psychology like very few do. But here's the thing. I feel like I always harken back to 2014, because that to me is like the greatest train wreck of all time in wrestling. Like, I've seen some bad shit go down, but to me, like, nothing has ever come off the rails like Royal Rumble 2014 in Pittsburgh when Batista won.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio came out number 30.
And got booed the fuck out of there.
And he was this was a return for him. He hadn't been around for a hot minute, so like this was supposed to be like a, hey, Ray's back, all right. But because this was Bryan's year, because the fans wanted Daniel Bryan so badly, and because Yinzer's going to Yinz, they absolutely they didn't just grab the steering wheel and rip the train off the tracks, man. They fucking picked up that locomotive and threw it into the fucking Monongahela, man. It went every which way but up. They booed him. They chanted yes. They chanted Daniel Bryan. They chanted we want Bryan. They booed Batista. Oh my God, did they boo Batista so bad that Batista ended up flipping off the fans at the end of the night. That to me, and not to that scope, I don't think, but that to me is the pitfall of Edge coming back this year. Like, yeah, all right, great, Edge is back, but where's Punk? So many people are expecting CM Punk that I don't think he will be there, just because he is so anti everything. Like, he, because it's a foregone conclusion, I'm sure that he's saying, no, I don't want to do it that way. I want to show up, bring me in on some Raw where I can take somebody out and start my Mania program that way, if he's going to come back. But I mean, I think that the fans again are setting themselves up for disaster, expecting and really wishing for CM Punk to come back. And again, this is me, one of the biggest CM Punk fans you're ever going to find. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is the pitfall of Edge coming back this year. Is that, yeah, it's great, but it's literally you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if he comes back and then CM Punk comes back, guess what? Edge's return, no one's gonna care about it because CM Punk came back. If Edge returns and CM Punk doesn't come back, no, it's not gonna have that same levity because people want a Punk. So it's 6-1, only half a dozen the other.
I sort of agree with you on that. I think if Edge and Punk both come back in the Rumble, Edge's comeback will be overshadowed by Punk. Mm-hmm. But I disagree on if Edge comes back and Punk doesn't. Not to take anything away from Batista, because it's going to sound like I am, but I'm not. I think Edge just has more people who, I don't know, genuinely think of him as a likable person and like, hey man, it's Edge. Like, Edge is awesome. He seems like an awesome guy. We listen to his podcast. We've watched his things on the network. Edge he's our guy. So I feel like if Edge comes back and Punk doesn't, you're not going to have the same sort of reaction that you had when Batista and Rey Mysterio came back and Daniel Bryan did not come out. I think if Edge comes back in the Rumble, people are going to see that. And for that fleeting moment, they'll forget about Punk. If there's no mention of him, if he doesn't come back, if he's not teased, I think people will appreciate Edge for coming back and be all about it and not shit on it. I could be dead wrong, but I don't think it'll happen with Edge.
I hope so, but I'm telling you, man,
Rey
like
Mysterio he wasn't gone that long, and he didn't have one of those things where he was like, "Hey, man, I'm hurt. My body can't handle it anymore. You know, I just won the title again. People are loving me," and he left. I just don't think Rey Mysterio carries the clout with the fans that Edge does. So they can shit on Rey Mysterio because sometimes they like him, sometimes they'll boo him for the sake of, hey, we wanted Daniel Bryan, but we got Rey Mysterio. But if it's people like, hey, Edge or CM Punk might come back, but you know what? We had Edge. Hell yeah, we got Edge. I think it'll be okay.
I feel like wrestling fans have already kind of like written the book for CM Punk coming back, and I think that there is going to be a lot of disappointed wrestling fans on Royal Rumble Sunday when Cult of Personality doesn't hit and he doesn't come out. And I don't want them to run it off the tracks because I think that this Rumble has a shot at being fairly memorable, to be honest.
Now, you were saying...
Well, until the end.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying last year about last year's Rumble that you were pretty entertained. I this is going to sound terrible. Like, I don't even remember who won last year's Royal Rumble, to be perfectly honest.
Who did win it?
Why the Monday night what the hell is the name? It's Seth Rollins won it. And then he beat Brock Lesnar in like 6 minutes in that like weird like pseudo hardcore match thing at WrestleMania.
That's right, he did. Okay. That's right.
And then
see how much I
Lesnar
don't give a shit about Seth Rollins? I couldn't even remember that he won the Rumble.
Now
Monday Night Messiah. My God, I couldn't get that one.
Here's my thing about last year's Royal Rumble. The one thing that I always look forward to in the Royal Rumble is a little bit of what Ransom said about, you know, the believability that anybody has a chance, but more so for me that anybody could show up. And last year there really weren't any surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble. It was like pretty straightforward, you know?
There were a couple NXT guys, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to. I think if I don't see Keith Lee or Dominic Dijakovic in the Royal Rumble, I'm going to be disappointed, me personally.
I'll agree with you on that. I will look forward to seeing NXT guys because we always expect to see a few of them. Like what? Who was it last year that showed up in the Rumble? I'm trying to remember from NXT.
Adam Cole was in 2 years ago. Let's see. Last year Jeff Jarrett showed up. That's a pretty big deal.
Is it
Gargano? Pete Dunne, Aleister Black.
Okay.
So I mean, not Nia Jax. So I mean, it wasn't huge, but it was. I was gonna say,
is Jeff Jarrett, is old Slapnuts a big deal though? Really, is he? Come on.
In his own mind. In his own mind.
Well, in any case, but I hope we get some really good. If we don't get quote unquote surprise entrants. You know, like, I expect to see some NXT guys. Like you said, I do expect to see a Keith Lee. I expect to see a Dominic Dijakovic. Hell, I might even expect to see a returning Velveteen Dream at some point.
That's what I was thinking.
So that'd be cool. I like, that would be somebody who I might consider a surprise. Like, somebody who isn't around right now, being used on TV because of them being out with injury or whatever. Like, for the Women's Rumble, I would like to see Ruby Riott come back if she's healthy, you know?
Dude, you know what was awesome last year? And I'm sorry, Tom, I don't mean to cut you off. But you know what was awesome last year? You mentioned Women's Rumble. Like, that's almost as fun as the Men's Rumble. Because last year, Michelle McCool came back and was, like, tearing house. She eliminated 5 people. Well, like, her and Charlotte Flair, like, have a tie of, like, the most people eliminated in a Women's Rumble now.
Now, the only thing about last year's Women's Rumble... Was that the first year for the Women's Rumble or the second?
Second. It was the second.
Okay, maybe I was thinking of the very first year. I was going to say the first year, they didn't have a deep enough women's roster that they had to, like, bring back, like, Nikki and Brie Bella and, like, you know, Candice Michelle and shit like that. I hope that now with now with how much spotlight NXT got from Survivor Series and all, I hope that we'll see a lot of the NXT women's roster and even the NXT UK women's roster.
I think you will.
Helping to fill out the Raw and SmackDown rosters, because let's be honest, the Raw and SmackDown women's rosters are pretty thin.
They've only announced 4 people from Raw and SmackDown for the women. There are 17 men announced, and like Andrade's not on there. So, one of my favorite Rumble pastimes is to look at the list of confirmed entrants on like the Sunday of, and figure out how many surprises there are, and who could it be, and like that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
But let me give you my my Paul Heyman spoiler here, gentlemen. This is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. An NXT woman is gonna win the Royal Rumble this year, and it's gonna be Shayna Baszler. You're gonna see Shayna versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, and I get the feeling that Shayna's gonna be taking the big red title off of her, and I'm okay with that.
You're assuming that Becky is going to hang on to it then at the Rumble here.
Sure.
You think
For sure.
you think they're going to have her conquer that Asuka mountain, huh?
I do.
Okay.
Man, what a great segue that would be for if Pitt were to show up when we're talking about conquering the Asuka mountain. I mean, Jesus.
Giggity.
You can't ask for a better segue than that. I think the biggest loss of the recording not happening at like the first 20 minutes is the loss of my Poot impression. I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay.
We'll do it again next week.
So
I'm thinking of,
man.
we kind of touched on him earlier, but didn't really go into him too much. About people doing things they shouldn't have done in the past. Is Lars Sullivan? And
oh yeah.
There's part of me that kind of believes that WWE doesn't give a shit about what came out about Lars Sullivan, because I mean, look at some of the stuff that Vince McMahon has done over the years. Good Lord, on TV.
Now, quick question, Ransom. Did you besides the stuff, the remarks that he made on the bodybuilding blogs or whatever back in the past, did you hear about the latest stuff, like the most recent stuff?
Yeah, that he did porn.
Yeah, like I want to say gay porn though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which regardless,
Again,
I'm not condemning him one way or the other. Like I know that it's actually a thing where like straight heterosexual men will do gay porn. It's gay for pay because it's harder for them to break into the business doing guy on girl porn or whatever. I remember watching this on like a MTV True Life episode or whatever, like way back in the day.
Man, Tom knows a lot about porn. Jeez.
I'm a well-rounded individual. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah, I can't speak to the porn industry, but you look back on some of the stuff that WWE has done on their programming. Yes, I know it wasn't the PG era.
Live sex celebration. I had to.
But it's like Shawn Michaels, Playgirl. Come on.
Yeah.
I think if WWE sees dollar signs behind Lars Sullivan, if he's not currently doing it now, I don't think they'll care. Like I don't think that's going to be one of those things where it's like, well, Lars, this came out over the internet that all those years ago you did this, sacked, now you're done. Vince McMahon loves big, muscly dudes.
Giggity.
That's not a ha-ha because of the gay porn Lars Sullivan thing. But Vince McMahon does. Look at all the big, stupid, dumb muscle heads that he's pushed that have, unfortunately or fortunately, gone nowhere.
Bobby Lashley.
Heidenreich.
Oh.
That other stupid Russian. What was his
Kozlov.
name?
Vladimir Kozlov.
Yeah. Look at these dumb idiots that they've pushed because they're huge.
Look at whatever happened to Mason Ryan.
Let's not talk about him. He was the worst.
Dude, no, he was great. I don't even know what happened to him. He got fucking shuffled right out the door. As soon as they were done with the Nexus, they were like, all right, see you, Mason. Deuces.
Thanks, CM Punk. You really buried him. But I think WWE sees dollar signs behind him. And if WWE sees dollar signs behind him, they're going to put him back on TV. And I think maybe WWE is saving his return for the Rumble. And if you see somebody eliminate Brock Lesnar, I wouldn't really put it past them to have Lars Sullivan come out, big monster, eliminating Brock Lesnar, that sets up Lars Sullivan for a big push as this big monster who eliminates Brock Lesnar from the Rumble.
But will he win the Rumble? That's the question.
I have no idea. I cannot imagine that Lars Sullivan wins the Rumble, but I could see Lars Sullivan as being the person that throws out Brock Lesnar. Not in a big heap of a big crowd of people doing it. One dude, Lars Sullivan, and that right there sets the bar for him. They're like, okay, well, this dude means business. He eliminated Brock Lesnar. That's something that stupid announcing people can go on and on and on about every time Lars Sullivan comes out.
Now, I do see I see one other person, if not Lars Sullivan, I do see one other person that could potentially eliminate Brock Lesnar, but not necessarily win the Rumble, and I will save
Goldberg.
that. What?
Goldberg.
No. No. Don't. Just don't.
I can't wait for Tom to have a stroke when Goldberg shows up in the Rumble. I can't wait.
Tom is damn near in tears. He's like, don't. Just don't.
Can't wait for it to happen.
Tom, who do you think?
He's on standby. He's going to stroke out.
Who do
By the
I
way,
think?
you guys are on the same like fucking mental wavelength because I want to get into the Brock Lesnar thing. But yeah, Tom, what do you got?
I'll save it for my picks for next week.
Boo.
I gotta entice the people to come back next week to this fucking
Don't
shit
be that
show.
guy. All the 4 people that listen to this show are going to continue to listen next week. Let's have. What is it? Come on.
Drew McIntyre.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I see this going a couple of different ways. One is the obvious route, which is Dio Madden. Dio Madden was the color commentary guy on Raw who Lesnar wrecked and hasn't been seen since. Dio Madden is a former football player. Dio Madden was an NXT guy who eventually moved to commentary because reasons.
What reasons?
Because they don't have any. Because Aiden English, Percy on NXT, because they got so much talent that they don't know what to do with. Because God forbid we let NXT or we let AEW have these guys. So Dio Madden, who has said, "Hey, I'm going to train and come back and get Lesnar. I'm going to teach him a lesson." So that's one. That's kind of like the elephant in the room for me. If I wouldn't be shocked if they go that route. But the fact that Lesnar is the champion makes it a little bit dicier because they're not going to give a guy who's just kind of cutting his teeth that kind of a push into WrestleMania. Two is the internet booker in me who wants it to be and needs it to be and absolutely would fucking lose his shit if it's CM Punk. You're like number.
This guy.
No, I mean think about it. Lesnar gets to like 10 or 11. He's just throwing people out left and right. He's just he's pulling a CM Punk from whatever the 2006 or 7, whatever year that was, where he's waiting in the ring for people to come to him. And call to personality hits, and Punk comes out and dumps him out. Gets a fucking hot shot WWE title match into WrestleMania. And the other option is yes, picking somebody who, because let's be honest, there is a chance that Lesnar wins the Rumble.
I'd say that's a good chance.
Me personally, I don't see him going beyond the first 10 because Lesnar and stamina are two things that you don't say in the same sentence, rarely ever.
Unless you're including does not have it.
Bingo. I would even go so far to say that I have more stamina than Brock Lesnar does.
I don't know about that.
That's fair. But the thing is, I can't see him going 45, 50 minutes. We've seen guys like Benoit. Ooh, did I just say Benoit's name? And Daniel Bryan.
You're blacklisted.
And Rey Mysterio and CM Punk and Finn Balor. These guys go kind of post to post, go 50-plus minutes. Like, these are guys who are pretty well-conditioned. Lesnar's not that. So I don't see him going 50 minutes and winning the Rumble. I don't at all.
Now, again, I think you're thinking along the lines of Lesnar enters at number 1 and he's in the ring until the end. It's just Brock Lesnar. I don't see. I can't put it past WWE or Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Vince, whoever, to say, okay, Brock comes out at 1, he hangs in the ring until 6 or 7, and then he goes through the ropes,
exactly,
opens up a chair, and sits down at ringside. Who's going to get out of the ring and try and throw Brock Lesnar back in the ring.
That is a
So
perfect
Brock Lesnar
point.
wants to say, hey, you know what? I was in for a while. I tossed a few people out. I don't give a shit. It's clear. What's JR saying?
Well documented.
It's been well documented that even in real life, his on-screen character aside, even in real life, Brock Lesnar doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit about anything.
Nope.
He doesn't care if he wins or loses. He cares if he's making a payday.
That's exactly it.
I can see that persona of Brock Lesnar going, Royal Rumble, I don't give a shit. I'm going to toss a few people out. I'm going to go sit outside the ring until over the last 4. I'm going to slide back in, toss the rest of them out. Bam, here I am, Brock Lesnar, bitch.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, even if he doesn't do that himself purposely, what's to say that somebody doesn't attempt to throw him out or knocks him out or whatever, but he goes through the ropes. So there is always that spot. Hold on. There is that spot for him.
Settle down.
To get the rest out there. If he goes through the ropes, if he gets knocked out or knocked silly through the ropes, and he is selling for quite a bit of time or whatever, there's that scenario. But I will say this, regardless if we also have to remember that just because if somebody eliminates Brock Lesnar doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the one to win the Rumble. Now, if Punk came out at the Rumble and he eliminated Lesnar, and ultimately did not win, whatever, that's still fine. Honestly, internet booker beef aside, that actually has a lot of good weight to it because there's history there and there's a storyline to it, because Paul Heyman was the one to turn his back on CM Punk for returning Brock Lesnar. So there's a history and there's a story to be told there that we never really got to see the end to. And let me just say that if we did get a CM Punk Brock Lesnar match at one of the next pay-per-views or at WrestleMania, title or not, does anybody remember the CM Punk Brock Lesnar match at SummerSlam 2013? Holy shit. That was one of the most entertaining Brock Lesnar matches I've seen in a long time. Next to this one, still the CM Punk Brock Lesnar match was still more entertaining, but I'll say a close second was the latest SummerSlam match between Rollins and Lesnar. That was also a good match. So I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it. Just saying.
I can also see WWE doing something like, and this is very CM Punkish, to come out, eliminate Lesnar, and then CM Punk himself jumps over the top rope, eliminates himself, and just laughs at Lesnar the whole way up the ramp, pointing, laughing. I gotcha. I don't care about winning the Rumble. I just want to eliminate you.
That'd be great.
That seems very punkish as well. So there's a lot of things that WWE can do. They have a lot of options at this Rumble. No, I made my point. You're good.
And that's why I think what makes it so exciting. And yes, he could definitely win it. And I'm fairly certain that Roman Reigns is going to win. Okay, that's
unfortunately
damn near in stone that he's going to win. He's going to beat the Fiend at WrestleMania for the title. Rah rah Roman rah. All right, whatever.
Fiend married.
Exactly. So much for the steak dinner. Anyway.
Hey, speaking of things that were exciting and surprises.
Hold on. Whoa. I have my other point I was going to make.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh boy.
Step on the goods. As far as what you're talking about with him rolling out of the middle of the ring and whatever, that gimmick has been played to death in the last couple of years. We even saw it in the AEW Diamond Royal Rumble. That's how MJF won. So maybe that's a possibility. So here's, I think, a great idea. So I think regardless, I don't think whoever eliminates Lesnar doesn't win the Rumble. And I think whoever eliminates Lesnar is in the pole position for the WWE title match at WrestleMania. That's how they set up the feud.
Yep.
I tell you who I think would make a lot of sense. If they're not going to go the CM Punk route, which I think makes the most sense, I would absolutely love to see it be, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, John Cena. Have Cena come out, dump Lesnar, and have Cena and Lesnar go at WrestleMania for the title.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Why? What story is there to tell there? Why would Cena? Why?
Because someone's got to conquer Lesnar. And I don't know, man. It's you know.
It's WWE, so I won't put that out of the realm of possibility.
In a perfect world, the Punk thing happens. In a near perfect world, we get a guy like Keith Lee who does it, and like just slingshots himself into stardom. But you know, to me, I would be okay with it, man. Like Cena's been gone long enough to make me appreciate everything that he did and everything that he does.
Yeah, yeah, I'll agree with that.
I'll agree with that, but I just don't see why.
I mean, because he's a big name, because he's John Cena, the biggest name outside of The Rock, Stone Cold, or Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Which, by the way, Hogan wouldn't surprise me to be an entrant in the Rumble either, because he's been training like crazy too.
Yeah, but
so I hope not.
That's a WWE thing to do. That's a WWE thing to do. They don't care about the why. They care about the payday.
Yep.
And Brock Lesnar, John Cena is a payday.
Wrestle Kingdom was about the wrestling. Wrestle Kingdom, they made matchups to make great wrestling. WrestleMania is not Wrestle Kingdom. WrestleMania says, hey, how can we get the most eyes on products? And if you're talking John Cena, who is a bona fide movie star at this point, versus Brock Lesnar, who is a bona fide badass former UFC heavyweight champion, you know, and let's not forget the guys like Tyson Fury, who's got a big boxing match, I think this weekend, could come back, as could what the fuck is his name? The other UFC guy who we faced at
Cain Velasquez.
Blood Money. Velasquez. He's floating around out there somewhere.
WWE Blood Money.
Dude, that's every event in like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, wherever the hell they run these shows.
Did you hold on? Speaking of which, the next Blood Money show, I believe, is in February.
Oh,
Blood Money returns.
Blood Money returns.
Blood Money World War III.
Stuck in that country this time.
Oh
hey, I
my
want to harken back
God,
to something that you said before, Beef, about that the whole shtick being done to death about somebody leaving the ring.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that. That yes, that's been done to death. But every other time it's been done, it's either been, oh, did they get eliminated, or they sneak out and go into the ring and hide and try to get you to forget about that person until the end, and then it's like, ooh, they sneak back in and get you. I don't think it's ever been done before where someone has gotten out of the ring and blatantly sat there and gone, yeah, I'm still in it, but I'm sitting out here. What are you going to do?
To be honest, the more that you guys talk about it, the more that I love that idea. The more that's a total fucking Lesnar thing.
It does.
And
it
the
seems
more
exactly like a Brock Lesnar.
And the more that, like, as every passing entrant comes by, looks at him and goes, nope, fuck that. Like, the more that I think that would... I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it. I think that would be a great way for him to end up in the Final Four, only to be tossed by someone. So that's a very salient point by you two.
Exactly, because like we said, who's going to come down to that ring, get in after their buzzer goes off, get in the Royal Rumble, and look out at Brock Lesnar and go, I'm going to get out of the ring and try and toss this big motherfucker back in there.
Yep.
Nobody's going to do that.
That's
plus
why.
If he's sitting in a chair, he's got a weapon.
Yep.
He just levels him, opens it up, sits back down. Okay. No one else is going to try that.
And you know what, Beef? That, and because we know how to pick our shit, that's why we're the champs. Speaking of knowing how to pick shit, do we have a Stump the Chumps question to try to test our breadth of knowledge?
We do. It's from December. It's an old question, but it still checks out. Let me get back into my
I mean, who
email
cares?
here.
Who cares if it's old or not? Because we pull this shit from every which way.
That's right. We have a new subscriber.
Fuck, I'll find a SummerSlam question next week for Royal Rumble weekend. I don't care.
All right, so we're gonna go back to December 12th on this one, from our friend the Midcar Maniac.
Wait. Who we've already exposed.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sorry about that. The fantasy football question or the fantasy football comment sealed your fate.
I will still keep kayfabe for him. From a friend, the Midcard Maniac. What wrestler debuted on SmackDown! In 2004 winning the U.S. title, then 1 year later debuted on Raw to win the Intercontinental title. I know who this is for a fact.
Say it again. They debuted when?
Let me get back to it here.
They
Sorry.
debuted in 2004 on SmackDown to win the U.S. title, and then when did
a
they?
year later.
And then a year
went
later,
to Raw
went to Raw and
win
won the
the-
Intercontinental.
in their debut. I'll let you guys have a crack at it before I tell you who the actual answer is, because I know for a fact. And I haven't looked at the answer, but I know who it is for a fact.
This was actually during the time I was, let's see, 2003, 2004. I was probably on deployment, so I have no fucking clue. I wasn't watching at that point. In fact, I know I was on deployment.
What'd you think, Ransom?
Debuted in 2004.
Does it say when in 2000?
Oh, no,
No.
I got it too. I think it's Carlito.
It is Carlito Caribbean Cool. That's my answer too. Let's go to the tape.
I
remember
trust
that
in your
happening
judgment.
now.
I actually got my picture taken with this is again mid card maniac saying I actually got my picture taken with this wrestler when he had the Intercontinental Championship. In a manner of speaking, there was only one thing I could say about it afterwards. Now that is cool. The answer being Carlito.
Yep.
He debuted against John Cena in 2004, and then jumped to Raw in 2005 to beat Shelton Benjamin.
Nice.
That was
I
a good
don't
one,
remember the
mid-card,
Shelton
but-
Benjamin one, but I remember the
I do.
the Cena SmackDown one. Yep.
Dude, you want to talk about missed opportunity? Like, there's literally like 6 or 7 guys from that era. Him, Shelton, Charlie Haas. To
Oh
an
my
extent.
god, absolutely.
Kennedy, the first coming of Drew McIntyre, John Morrison, even The Miz to an extent. Like, these guys had everything, like all the fucking keys to all the doors, and they just wrong time, man, because that was the Cena, Orton, Batista, Triple H era, and there was no cracking through because, like, yeah, while that group was super talented, those 4 individuals that I just named were like, you know, megastars. So it's understandable that they didn't really crack through, but man, what could have been?
Well, I do want to
Yep.
make I do want to make 2 points. One, Miz has done okay for himself though over the years.
He has.
He
That's
does
true.
honestly. He has what I would consider. I consider him maybe not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I definitely consider him a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's
Agreed.
you know, he's got
Yeah.
he's tied with Jericho still, right? Tied with Jericho as having the most Intercontinental title reigns. He's you know, U.S. champion. He's won the WWE championship. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
I was gonna say, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much the only title he hasn't held has been the World Heavyweight title, which obviously that wouldn't happen now. But if he ever gets his hands on the Universal title, you know, he'll be a Grand Slam champion. So I mean, or is he already considered a Grand Slam champion? I don't know. Either way,
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, he's won 2 mid card titles, the tag team title, many tag team titles actually,
Yeah.
and then the big one. So yeah, he would be a Grand Slampion for sure.
and
Slampion.
and I do have to say, I love Drew McIntyre's music back in the day. That first iteration
man.
of Drew Mc. Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, the Broken Dreams one. That was
Hell yeah.
a killer theme.
Hell
When
yeah.
he just
Yeah, man.
sauntered to the ring to that slow theme.
Yep.
I love that. So hey, we're gonna do some hot tag trivia,
Good.
and I'm gonna ask Beef on this one, and I have a very strong feeling that Beef will get this one very quickly, just because of how big of a fan he is of the group involved.
Oh boy.
So this is probably a softball one here to you, Beef. So if you get it real quick, I'm not disappointed. But it is a
No.
multiple parter.
No,
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say no fucking pressure whenever I screw it up.
No, you won't. You'll get this one. Multiple parter, but I have a feeling you'll get all the parts. I'll ask you the parts not at the same time, but as you answer. WrestleMania. Let's see. When was it? 27. This wrestler had Who the Bell Tolls, or For Whom the Bell Tolls, play during his entrance music. Ye old Metallica.
What WrestleMania was it? It was 7. Okay. So that was definitely during the triumvirate, or I guess the trilogy of the Triple H Undertaker matches, but really the back-to-backs are the ones that are important here. I honestly don't remember if it was Triple H or Undertaker, but I feel like that, like it would make a lot of sense if it was Undertaker because of the bells, but again, he's so like old school and gimmicky that I don't think he would do it, so I think it was Triple H.
You're right. It was Triple H, and yeah. I'm not going to bother asking you my second part, which was who did he face, which you already got that one. But yeah, Triple H, man, he had Metallica and freaking Motorhead play him into that WrestleMania. So good on Triple H on the bands.
He's a badass. At here's a little bit of extra spicy hot take trivia for you.
Ooh.
At the next WrestleMania, WrestleMania 28, when they had their Hell in a Cell match, they used "The Memory Remains" by Metallica as kind of like the promo music for the match itself, because it was the end of an era match. So yeah, dude, Triple H is a big metalhead. So yeah, I'm happy to have him on top.
Okay, Beef.
So that leads me to Tom.
Oh boy,
Tom, you have probably figured that this is a Royal Rumble question because it's again my favorite time of year wrestling wise. So I like to dig out all the Rumble questions. We've talked about the lucky numbers and the winners. Stone Cold obviously being the guy who's won the most, and then a litany thereafter him with 2, Cena, Hogan, Triple H, etc. My question is not about the winner, but about the man who stood at the runner-up. What man has the most runner-ups in Royal Rumble history, and how many does he have?
I don't know, but I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Triple H, but I don't know how many.
You are not right. Ransom, do you have an idea?
The most runner-up.
Mm-hmm. If you think about it, if you follow your feelings, I think it'll make a lot of sense once I say it.
See, I want
to
say it's Roman Reigns because I always get confused and think that he's won more than he has.
My man, that's the answer. It is Roman Reigns.
I always think he's won, like 2 or 3 different Royals when he really hasn't. I'm gonna say 3.
Yep, that's it. You are 100% correct. Roman Reigns has won 1 and been the runner-up of 3, and he to me that's a mind-blowing stat. Being that he's been in 5 of them, he's won 1 and been the runner-up in 3 others. So that's pretty fucking impressive. And with all, and I'm getting chatty. I apologize, but with all the way the winds are pointing, he could win his second one this year, putting him in elite company. It's it's very clear what they're trying to do with this guy. So good luck. That's all I'm gonna say is good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, Royal Rumbles have been very good to Roman Reigns.
The fans have not.
Yeah.
Well, for good reason, I feel.
All right. Let me put my co-champ partner out of his misery here. In typical Ransom fashion, this is a 2-parter.
Hell yes.
And I really wish I would have had this for Beef because, man, I feel like this is a shitty one to get. But here we go.
Oh no. Good.
So we've talked about all these legendary people, but one guy that we don't talk about for fear of getting blackballed is Chris Benoit. So I'm glad his name came up at some point earlier in the podcast because I was just like, yeah, buddy. So my question to you, part 1, I want you to tell me the different titles that Chris Benoit has won in WWE.
All the different titles that he's won.
Yes, sir.
Oh, holy balls. Well, he was definitely the world champion.
Okay.
I don't think he was WWE champion. He was definitely United States champion. I want to say he was Intercontinental champion. And I think he was both WWE and World Tag Team Champions. Not WWE champion. Dead before Universal. Definitely not a cruiserweight. Definitely not a light heavyweight. I don't think he won the WCW title when it was in WWE. No, he didn't. So yeah, I'm sticking with those.
Okay, so you're sticking with Intercontinental?
Intercontinental, United States, both tags, and the world.
All right. Well, you are correct on that. Now, part 2. How many times did he win each of those titles?
Fa.
I thought that was going to be rough getting to all the different ones that he won, but man, you pulled that one out. So let's see if you can pull this one out. How many times was he Intercontinental champion?
Oh shit!
Wrong.
Damn it! I honestly don't know as far as Intercontinental or United States. I want to say around 2 or 3 for either, but that's guessing, and I don't know hard numbers. I want to say he was only World Heavyweight Champion once. He was only one of the tag champions once because that was with Kurt Angle. But I can't remember if that was the World or the W Championship. And then I want to say 2 or 3 of the other, because I think it was at least with Edge, I think, and Chris Jericho, but I don't know how many each of those 2. So yeah, I can't give you hard numbers on any of them.
Well,
Title, and I think that was just one.
Take some shots in the dark. Why not?
Oh, all right. World 1, United States 3, Intercontinental 2, WWE Tag Team Champion 1, and World Tag Team Champion 2.
You weren't too far off. He was Intercontinental Champion 4 times. Once
Whoa.
he had the people he defeated each of those times: Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Billy Gunn, Rob Van Dam. He was United States champion 3 times. He defeated Orlando Jordan, Booker T, Mr. Kennedy. He was World Heavyweight Champion once whenever he defeated Triple H and Shawn Michaels in the Triple Threat at WrestleMania there. And he was World Tag Team Champion 3 times. Once partnered with Jericho, and then 2 times partnered with Edge. And then he was WWE Tag Champion 1 time, partnered with Pittsburgh's own Kurt Angle.
But
beef sucks.
The number of reigns I'm pretty hazy on.
Yeah, but you did pretty good on that.
No, but I mean, yeah, you acquitted yourself real well. I could have swore there was a European reign in there too. But that's just because he was in that.
I forgot about that title.
Well, the only reason I remember that is because he was in that Euro-Continental match with Jericho and Angle at WrestleMania 16, which was a 2-fall match. The first being for the Intercontinental, the second for it being the European. Angle winning as the double champion in that match and walked out with no belt. So.
Oh, that's right.
That actually came up as a hot tag trivia question or something like that before about that Euro-Continental trash, because I remember talking about that match.
Oh, I completely forgot about the European title.
Yeah, well, you can't blame me, I think.
Oh,
I think everybody else did as well.
Wait. Anytime if I know that I'm going to have Ransom for hot tag trivia, I'm giving him a European title question.
All European from here on out, right?
Gotta start brushing on my European trivia.
Right? Have fun with that. That fucking treasure trove of a title history.
All I know is Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
Fucking D'Lo Brown and
British
Oh, I
Bulldog.
forgot about D'Lo.
oh man, fucking D'Lo like elevated that title. That's how bad that title was. D'Lo
Yeah.
elevated it. Ugh.
He really did, didn't he?
He did.
Yes. So, well, I don't have
speaking
too
of
much
D'Lo,
else to say. Yeah.
this isn't really news or anything, but if you have the chance, if you're bored, you have a chance, watch the Table for Three with Godfather Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown. It is very entertaining.
Okay.
D'Lo Brown is a very entertaining dude just to sit and listen to him tell stories. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better Table for Threes if you have a spare moment or two.
Have you watched that? Have you watched the one with Gargano, Cole, and Ricochet?
I have not.
Oh my
Is that a good one?
god.
It's a
I
pretty
didn't know
good
that
one.
was a thing.
And it was pretty funny to talk about that Johnny recalls, and they actually show video footage of when he got a chance with WWE. He came on as like a extra nobody on SmackDown and like promptly got beaten by MVP. He was the Liechtenstein world champion or something like that. It was.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. I can't even remember. His name was something ridiculous, like worse than like Jared Listenerman or whatever. Yeah, throwback
man.
there.
Oh my.
I'll tell you, like the table. I love and I've gotten away from it because I've been on again, off again with the network. But I love Table for Three, man. I'll put it on while I'm eating lunch, and it's really cool because like there's no fucking gimmicks, there's no fucking flim flam. It's like real fucking talk.
Do you put it on so you can feel like you're having lunch with them? You're like, oh,
It's
yes.
a table for four, exactly.
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't realize how entertaining they were. I was scrolling through the network one night. I could not fall asleep, and I was just looking through. I think it might have been one of the nights after a podcast, which is why wrestling was in my head. And I was just scrolling through the network, and I saw the Dinner of Domination, which was D'Lo, Mark Henry, and Godfather. And I thought, oh, I'll throw that one on, and it was really entertaining. Another really fun one.
Did they talk at all?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, did they talk at all about the what was it, the Bone Street Crew at all?
No.
No,
Like the anti-click, as it were.
I just want to.
D'Lo told. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just want to hear the Nation of Domination song redone as like some sort of like Dinner of Domination sort of thing. Like I want to hear some sort of food related remake now.
D'Lo did tell a funny story about they were in the Nation was in the ring at one point during a commercial break on like a Raw or something, and D'Lo said he was looking around, looking around the audience, looking, and Farouk looks at him and goes, "What you doing?" And D'Lo goes, "Hold on." And he keeps looking, and Farouk goes, "What you doing?" And D'Lo goes, "There, right there." Farouk goes, "What?" And D'Lo goes, "I was sitting right there when you became the first ever black world heavyweight champion. Right there in that seat in this very arena." And he said Farouk looked at him and goes, "Right during commercial? Don't you do that to me, boy. Don't you do that." It was a heartfelt story. It made it, it gave me the good feelies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they really talked Farouk up, they really talked Ron Simmons up, big deal. They credited Ron Simmons for, a lot of the success they had in their career, not only because he was the first ever black world heavyweight champion in professional wrestling, but because he did so much to help them out when they were in the Nation from them. Yeah, Table for Three is a really, really entertaining show.
I might have to go watch
much
that
better
one.
than a lot of the crap they have on their network.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I need to get back and watching that. One thing I do miss them doing. I miss seeing all the different ride-alongs. Some of those are actually really funny to watch. Like,
Yeah.
like, like if you watch the one with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose riding together, like Dean's like sleep deprived and he just starts doing this thing. He starts singing about like I don't even know how it came up, but he's talking about like whatever that movie was with Catherine Zeta-Jones when she like goes through the laser beams. I can't remember the name of the movie, but you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
Beef.
Nope.
God damn it. Okay, I can't remember the name of the movie, but like she does this whole thing where like she's either like trying to steal something or sneak into somewhere, and she's sneaking through these laser beams, and he just starts out of nowhere. He's like, Catherine Zeta-Jones sneaking through the laser beams, and just like and you see Roman's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's great. It's great.
I only ever watched one of those, and it was the New Day one. I don't know if they did multiples, but I watched one of the New Day ride-alongs, and that was pretty funny.
Yeah, so a lot of those ride-alongs are funny. The one with Gallows, Anderson, and AJ was pretty good too. Like,
I can only imagine.
That's one I definitely want to watch that one.
Yeah,
well, and that's the thing with the network, man. Like when they don't try and they just kind of let it happen, man. It's a lot of good stuff. I'll tell you what, I really loved Legends House.
I did too.
For what it was.
I love Mean Gene on there.
There was a lot of goofy shit, like the stupid like reality contests and stuff that they had to do. Okay.
Yeah.
But like you got a true sense of fraternity from these guys, and like you could tell how much, for example, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan was absolutely enthralled with Roddy Piper, and like you could just see how much they like really bonded. It's just like that show. That was probably like one of the first shows I really watched on the network, and I was like, wow, this is a great series. I hope they keep up. And then they didn't, and I'm like, okay, well, because there aren't a lot more legends out there that are hard up for money other than those guys that need a paycheck real quick, that don't want to leave their wives and families for a month or so. But when the network kind of gets out of its own way, and I think this is kind of a true mission statement for WWE. When they get out of their own way, they can accomplish a hell of a lot more than when they really are trying. So, good, bad, or in between. That's
I think too, in this age of when kayfabe is dead, and you don't believe that Undertaker is really a dead man who's beating people and then burying them. When you know that these people are playing characters, I think when you get to see them interact and just talk with each other on like the ride-alongs or the dinner for threes, I think that enthralls the fans, because I think they want to get to know who these people are behind their character. Like, they just want to hear them BS with other wrestlers, talk, different road stories, talk about, them coming up in the business. I think there's a wealth of entertainment opportunity there for WWE, because they don't have to pretend anymore that, bad guys only hang out with bad guys and good guys only hang out with good guys. Since kayfabe is dead, you get an in-depth look at who these people actually are behind their character. And I think that is genuine entertainment, to kind of get you away from the soap opera aspect of WWE and professional wrestling. I think they have a gold mine there, and I hope they continue to capitalize on it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's a salient point, in fact. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I really I enjoyed watching whenever I saw Andrade and Zelina Vega doing a ride along, and then you get Aleister Black calling in on the phone to Zelina Vega, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize Aleister and Zelina were together. Okay, cool. Like, that's the thing. But it's kind of cool to see, like, the fact that like Andrade and Zelina are paired up on TV. That's just like when, if I don't know that certain people can attest to this or not, but like you have certain people that you get like close to at your work, and you're like, oh, that's my work wife or my work husband or whatever. Like you get that sometimes from job to job. You just make those bonds with people, and you're just there. You look out for one another or whatever, and they are like a really good friend, but there's nothing romantically involved with it or anything like that. But I just thought it was kind of cool to see like how Andrade is basically Zelina's work husband, but in reality, she's definitely shacked up with Aleister Black, which was quite a combination. I'm intrigued to know.
They're married, I think.
I think they're married. I think.
Really? That's kind of surprising.
I believe so.
If they're not married, they're definitely engaged, because I saw a rock on her finger. So
that must have been prior to Andrade and Charlotte kind of getting engaged, because I would imagine that now Andrade and Charlotte probably go everywhere together. So, and that's another thing, kind of, getting back into the circle of things. Andrade not that Charlotte is a bad looking person. She's done a lot of work on herself, so whatever. And I'm sure that there's probably other things to value about her. Maybe, I don't know, but Andrade might be climbing the ladder a little bit because all of a sudden, he gets on the main roster after a stellar Royal Rumble 2 years ago and kind of flounders for a year. Gets engaged to Charlotte Flair, boom, title around his waist. So,
So what you're saying is the sooner you climb on Charlotte, the sooner you climb the roster?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard anyway.
He married up.
Yeah, well, he's
At least
engaging
in the
up.
business.
Yes.
In the business,
Yes.
he's engaging up.
Yeah. So just a couple last little things to wrap up. It was reported this week that it is officially signed for GCW Bloodsport on April the 2nd. The main event will be John Moxley versus Josh Barnett. And if you guys have never seen Bloodsport,
Nope.
it's kind of become like a WrestleMania weekend tradition of mine. So it's a little bit of a silly little indulgence, but it blurs the line of like professional wrestling and like combat sports. So like last year's main event, I think, was Minoru Suzuki versus Josh Barnett, and you guys know how much I will gush over Minoru Suzuki. But it's very like hard hitting, fast paced, like real fight action, but there's definitely a lot of like scripting to it too. So like that's something I'm pretty stoked for. I believe that's WrestleMania weekend, April the 2nd. It usually is.
That should be because WrestleMania is what, the 4th or 5th, right?
Yeah. So, and I that's another reason why I really, really, really love the whole WrestleMania season, because it kind of bleeds over into the Indies.
Okay.
And like that weekend, there are just a million shows. So
WrestleMania, I'm just looking at the calendar. So WrestleMania would be April the 5th. So when did you say Bloodsport is?
The 2nd, which would be the Thursday.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Right?
a Thursday. Yeah, that's weird.
Yep. But no, I mean, like I said, man, like WrestleMania weekend.
I'm just saying
really
that's on a Thursday, on a Thursday night event. That's just seems weird.
Well, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a WrestleMania thing. Like WrestleMania weekend literally envelops the city in wrestling. I mean, last year, they did Bloodsport last year, and then they did like a mega show with a whole bunch of indie guys. And I think Pentagon versus Phoenix was on one of those matches, and Orange Cassidy was there, and the Best Friends. And then there was, I think Impact had a show that weekend. And then
was that also the same weekend that Ring of Honor sold out MSG?
Yes. Yep. Oh yeah, that was the last year. That was New Japan and Ring of Honor, their joint show. That was that weekend. And then they had Stardom's first ever United States show last week or last year during WrestleMania weekend. So it's like, I love, and I'll probably do the same thing this year, take a 4-day weekend, WrestleMania weekend, and just like soak it in, man. Like there are places where you can view these things for free. And not that I'm advocating that, but I literally just kind of like start to finish, like I turn it on in the morning and they would be streaming whatever, and I take that all in, and it was it was a really, really fun weekend. So that's and that's kind of like the ultimate. It kind of leads up to NXT Takeover the Saturday, and then obviously WrestleMania, the 12-hour marathon on Sunday, which is kind of like, again, the Super Bowl. So it's kind of like, finishes you off, and you're like, okay, I'm good on wrestling for another year.
So you know what? You bring up a good point on that, Keith, and I'm not going to go long on it. Make this little comment. That's one of the things that all these other promotions, aside from WWE, seem to be doing right, and it's letting their talent that they have signed work on other programs or other shows. You have Moxley going to Bloodsport, you have Jericho going to New Japan, and wrestling a match. I think that's I think that, and I know WWE is its own freaking monster, but I would really love to see WWE get in on the whole. We're going to share wrestlers, not on weeklies, not for house shows, but for these 1 or 2 off events a year. Let our guys go elsewhere and showcase their talents. I don't know if that's going to bring anything to WWE, and that's why I don't think they'll do it, because I don't think that they see anything to be gained by that. But how much would you really love to see an Adam Cole versus John Moxley, or somebody from WWE facing off against the AEW champion Chris Jericho, just for like this one-off show? How fun would that be?
Yeah, and you're 100% right. It would be a blast, but then again, bringing it back full circle, the politics.
Yep.
Who goes over? You put Chris Jericho against we'll say Adam Cole just for S's and G's. You have AEW and NXT. The two factions that are warring, quote unquote, on Wednesday nights. Like, who goes over? Like, who gets to make that decision? Because damn sure if Vince is sending someone, he's going to say, there's no way my guy is not going over. And that if the Elite are sending somebody, that they're going to say, no way that our guy isn't going over. So, like, politics, unfortunately, that's what prevents a lot of this stuff. It'll be interesting to see this year, because guys like Pentagon, Phoenix, the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Joey Janela, a lot of the mid-card from AEW are the guys that really kind of kept these shows moving. So it'll be interesting to see if they are given the same kind of lengths of rope this year or not by AEW, or whether they kind of... I know Cody and the Bucks and I think Omega have said that AEW will not run on WrestleMania weekend in that same town, because they don't want to capitalize off of anybody else's success other than their own, which is admirable.
Yeah, good for them.
But we'll see if they will let their talent go out and mingle. I mean, obviously Moxley and Jericho are kind of like above the system because they're huge names, and they pretty much built into their contract, hey, I can do X, Y, and Z, and you can't say a boo about it. And because they are big names, that the Bucks and Cody and Omega said, oh yeah, man, we want you on our show for sure. You're going to kowtow to their demands.
I do think I think it's interesting, since you mentioned it, that was you and I were on the same wavelength, the politics. It's interesting to me that, given the bit of a strain between New Japan and AEW, that they were able to come to an agreement that Jericho would go over against is D-Face Tanahashi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking figure it out. Figure it out. What
I was gonna say is, one, it's cool that they were able to come to that agreement, and two, we can touch on this more next week too. But I think it'll be interesting to see what or how much of a working relationship Ring of Honor and NWA have with Marty Scurll re-signing with ROH, and it being reported that he's allowed to work some NWA stuff, which I'm sure it's not going to be like all the time, but he did kind of like get into a little bit of a program with Nick Aldis like just before he re-signed this contract. So I'd be interested to see if or what sort of working relationship might develop from there. Speaking of working,
figure it out, man. AEW and New Japan. The other thing I'll say is, fucking figure it out. Both of those promotions are so fucking stubborn because of the way that the exits worked on the Bucks and Omega. Put your personal differences aside, because both of those organizations have so much to gain from working with the other one, and we are being ripped off of not having those connections. So fucking figure it out.
Well, don't you think the same could be? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, keep in mind when it comes to New Japan, you have to think not only just the company itself, but the culture in general in Japanese culture is a very honorable. Honor is a very, very big thing. So when you when you do them wrong, or if they feel like you've done them wrong, And I don't disagree with you. Yeah, you got to put personal differences aside and do what's best for both businesses. You know, but there's it takes a little bit longer for those wounds to heal, I would say. So it's more of a cultural thing over there. But I agree, we would all benefit. Everybody, New Japan would definitely benefit. AEW would benefit, and us as fans, we'd all be winners if they can come to some sort of working agreement, you know, in the future.
Now, all of what you said there, and back to what you said, Beef, about figuring it out, don't you think that could also apply to NXT and AEW? Now, I get it, that's more politics than it is honor, but at the same token, like you said, Beef, these are the Wednesday Night Wars. This is the Wednesday Night Wars show. If you think back to the Monday Night Wars, how badass would it have been if you would have been able to have some sort of cross promotion with Triple H and X-Pac versus the Outsiders?
Oh.
Now,
for
again,
sure.
it's like those, you know, maybe that's a bad example because those guys are friends and everything, blah, blah, blah. But the eyes that you draw to both products, even if you have to have one person or one group team go over on the other, yes, and that's the bureaucracy and the politics of it. But when it comes down to winning, you would think that both promotions would be able to win out on that. Because everybody knows, especially nowadays, you know, the Wednesday Night War, it's AEW against NXT. If you had an AEW guy face off at an NXT guy at one show or the other, just think about how big of a deal. And I think, again, it goes back to the whole Vince doesn't give a shit about the internet wrestling community. But could you imagine how much the internet wrestling community would explode if there was one of those matches?
Yeah.
I mean, people would go nuts.
And I mean,
And
I
you
think
would get eyes
it's
going to both of your products at that point.
I think it's as simple as a home and home. Like lots of because that's the thing that happens in college football. People like rivalries are often ended because they don't want to make you know you make an agreement. We'll play at your barn one year, the next year you come to ours. People are getting away from that because you know it's revenue and all that. Like, but to me the answer is that simple. You have, let's say, fucking Red Dragon show up on AEW, and the Bucks go over on them, and then you have Hangman Kenny show up on NXT and go over Cole and Roddy Strong. Everybody wins. Like, you know, no one faction is going over, and yet we are given some really incredible wrestling. So
Yeah.
I agree, but that I think. The problem with that is that WWE is like an oligarchy unto itself. It is its own kind of thing, and like the independents are always super willing to like team up against like the big bad man in the sky, Vince McMahon. You know, so like AEW I think is trying to put themselves on that same platform as well, a different platform than WWE, but still like above that, saying we don't need
similar platform.
Right, we don't need to team with the Indies to beat WWE. We're going to do it of our own accord. So, I think that's kind of what's getting in the way of the New Japan thing too. Is that they're like, hey, like. And they've said multiple times, it's not a competition. We're not trying to beat anybody. We're trying to give an alternative.
Right.
But in the back of their mind, they know that if they win in the ratings, they want to be on their merit, not on, you know, Kazuchika Okada or not on Kota Ibushi. They want to do it because of Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Pentagon, Phoenix, etc.
Right. Yep. And at least, I mean, it gives us hope because Jericho did say, you know, after his match with Tanahashi, that he would love to, you know, wrestle him again and stuff like that, and give him another opportunity at the, you know, give him a shot at the title or something like that. So, I think if there's going to be anybody that pushes for a partnership or some sort of working relationship where we do have these every so often throughout the year, I think Jericho will be a very big proponent for that. But speaking of working together in partnerships, why don't we go ahead and thank the sponsors and close this baby and put it to bed, because we're getting a little long in the snaggle tooth here.
Good idea.
Oh, we're getting a little long in the tooth. that was like a direct like Poot the Bard Mickey Mouse comparison or combination.
Stay on. Oh my god, I cracked. I can't do it.
Yeah, we definitely want to thank our the partners that we work with here. Sean Tischler, working with the independent scene up in Clearfield and bringing some really quality wrestling to that burg up there. We appreciate and we being the royal wrestling fans of the Central Pennsylvania region appreciate what you're doing there, Sean. Keep at it and keep bringing IWC up there. Bring in other local talents, man. Keep working. Bring more people. The more independent wrestling people can see, the better. And then we definitely want to thank Mr. Casual Gaming Dad himself, Mr. Tiger
Bomb Tom.
Almost flubbed it.
I almost did. I keep trying to set you up for it.
Nope.
We do want to set you up, Tom, for being a wonderful a sponsor for everything you've done for us, man. You pimp this podcast harder than the Godfather pimps them hoes.
Damn right. Pimping ain't easy, baby.
We appreciate everything that you do over on your channel for us and getting our name out there. And thanks. You are the definition of a wonderful sponsor, so thank you so much for that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm gonna make a quick little plug. Thank you to Gould Gaming for putting our P3 T-shirts up in my section of the store. You guys can head on over to Gould Gaming, find Casual Gaming Dad's section of the shop, and go get yourself a P3 T-shirt. And if you are ever watching any of my streams on Facebook and YouTube, you'll find the direct link to my section, so you won't even have to go searching. And you'll have the discount codes there to use to save yourself a little bit of money off your purchase if you get anything out of my section or site wide. And one last little quick plug again, because I think it got cut off in the beginning whenever we weren't actually recording. If you're in the Elizabeth Township area in the southwestern PA region, this Saturday, 7 o'clock bell time, IWC Reloaded. Go check it out. The reset button happens that night, so anybody can show up. Anything can happen. It could be a wrestler, non-wrestler. You don't know who's going to be put up against who. I tried to secure an interview with the IWC Super Indie Champion, Johnny Patch, but that didn't end up working out. So hopefully we'll get to talk to him here in the very near future, and hopefully he will still be Super Indie Champ. If not him, then, well, we'll find out who is. And if I get a chance to go to that show, I will definitely be bringing you back some, reviews and wrap-ups from that. So lots of good stuff. Go check out the indies like Beef said, and, see these guys before they make it to the big time, and then you can't rub shoulders with them in a local high school gymnasium. So that said,
good.
for Mr. Beef the Legend, for the absent but ever present in our hearts, Mr. Poot the Bard, Bebe, and for my partner, the best co-champion that I could ask for, the man who created this nepotism monster that is now a part of your broadcast, my colleague, Mr. Alec Ransom. This is Tiger Bomb Tom. Have a wonderful night.